The next video after this one will be book related, I promise. And I mean actual books, not booktube meta, not even me talking about just a single book. There will be a lot of books in it. It's just, I wanted to talk about this today because this has been on my mind as like a potential video that I wanted to make for a couple of months now. I mean, I feel like this idea has been building since my last Digital Defiance video. And even though I do have some brand new Digital Defiance stuff that I want to talk about, this is just like one of those where it is so firmly cemented that I don't feel like I'm going to go back on it and start looking like a hypocrite in a little bit. Also find it hilarious that whenever I make a video talking about a really contentious topic that might actually get me more than 100 views, I'm always like, this is the video to wear no makeup for. I mean, I do maybe have a little bit of brow stuff left, but I just got back from the gym and showering after the gym. For some reason, one of my biggest boundaries with my channel is like, I refuse to dress up and put on an outfit other than what I was wearing for the actual day that I had or what I already would have been wearing just to film. So I wanted to give you guys a Digital Defiance video because it's been a really long time since I've given you one. The reason that it took me so long to put something out in this vein is because I don't like to make videos on these topics if I have not firmly entrenched them into those values that I'm about to talk about in my everyday life. I like to actually like talk about things that I actually have like real experience with and can base in something, because I think it really comes through in the video and in the depth of my commentary when I'm actually basing what I'm saying on something other than I saw this in a think piece and I thought it sounded cool. Like, do you know what I mean? So today I wanted to talk about celebrities. I mentioned in my last Digital Defiance video, and subscribe if that sounds like something that you would like more of. I do make them intermittently between kind of what I would call maybe like slower content. So stuff that is designed to actually like enrich your life rather than just like distract you from your life. So if you want more of those, do subscribe. Just be aware that there will be a lot of book content in between them, specifically because I'm trying not to content mill it. I wanted to talk about the celebrity stuff. I talked about this in my last Digital Defiance video, just like the ignoring celebrities thing. I wanted to do a more in-depth video on it because when I mentioned that, I was still like on and off with following celebrity culture. In this video, I'm coming at it from a perspective of being more than 70 days without engaging with celebrity culture in literally any way, beyond like reading a musician's bio on Spotify. I wanted to talk today about not paying attention to celebrities, and I think, you know, there's going to be like a couple different parts to this video. I guess first I can talk about like why I am paying less attention to celebrities. And then I'll go into like some of the subcategories of that why. I think the main reason that I started to break away from, and the examples that I'm going to be using in this video are going to be like the main people I used to follow. So I used to follow Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, Ariana Grande, and Chappelle Roan the most out of any other celebrities. And I would keep up on like the gossip and the tea around them and like all of that good stuff. I guess I should talk about, you know what, this might be easiest if I actually just talk about like the Swiftie perspective first. This is like my kind of disclaimer to start this off, right? Is I was never like a hardcore Swiftie. Even when it was like kind of like the golden age of Taylor Swift, like 1989 and all that stuff. I would say that 1989 is probably the last album that I have like very nostalgic memories associated with. But you know, growing up, my mentality towards Taylor Swift is like, you know, if I like the music, then I'll listen to it. And if I don't, then I'm not aware of what's going on with her. So I was never like super hardcore in it. I fell off when Reputation and Lover came out because I didn't really like the albums that much. And, you know, when she got canceled, I basically was like, I totally got swept up in the online hype. I mean, now obviously there has been some stuff that came out that shows the situation was kind of more complicated than it was led to be. But at the time, I was definitely more of a part of the brainless, like, hair trigger, flip your lid at people and cancel them immediately. Like, I was involved in that at that time. That to a degree, that was the culture, and I was young and immature and I didn't know any better. So, yeah, I was totally part of the Taylor Swift is over party. Kind of forgot about her for a while after that. Folklore and Evermore came out, and I listened to them pretty late. But I really liked them. And then when the re-recordings started happening, that's when I got really, really into following her. The thing with Taylor Swift is, like, the more you get involved in, like, following her in her life, you also learn about other celebrities. So I was very aware of, like, Olivia Rodrigo and Sabrina Carpenter and Charlie XCX and, like, all of these people who just were, like, tangentially connected to her. And so I was, like, doing the re-recordings. I knew every song. It's really weird because, like, it's not like I had every album downloaded. I never purchased literally a single piece of merch, not even, like, fan-made merch. Really, like, it's really weird. I knew every single song and every single boyfriend she'd ever had, every single drama she had ever been involved with. And, as time went on, Midnights came out and I was really disappointed with it. Tortured Poets came out and I initially really liked it, but she herself started to act in certain ways around that time. Everybody knows now, like, her hanging out with a lot of like MAGA people, accused rapists, and the whole carbon emission things as well. And so increasingly this started to weigh on my mind, but I was still into, like, keeping track of, like, the gossip on her, and I knew everything that happened, every embarrassing thing that she did, and I was totally involved in the discourse around this. But really what this was just, like, it functionally was the exact same as when I was, like, a fan of her and I knew every single song, right? And so this was going on like this, right? And I, just would listen to, like celebrity gossip, tarot readings when I needed to relax. And, I still think they're great fun. This is, like, no hate to people who partake in that. It's all in good fun. This is not me, like, hating on people who enjoy that stuff. Something that I noticed is that the less content that I consumed in general, the more aware I was that celebrity content did not make me feel good. And I was kind of confused why it didn't make me feel good, because I definitely found it to be fun, right? I found it fun to, like, laugh at rich people's poor behavior, right? And yet, I actually found quitting celebrity content way, way easier than all the rest of the digital detox stuff. And the reason that it was easier is not because it was a smaller facet, but because I think that content actually is probably the most noticeable in how much better I started to feel when I stopped consuming it. And specifically, after I stopped consuming it, I started to have better self-esteem and feel better about myself. This is also kind of unexpected, right? Because, like, if I am only into Taylor Swift as, like, an anti or whatever, and I'm only reading on Sabrina Carpenter because I cannot believe how she's willing to degrade herself for money, and, go argue with the wall over there. You could put a gun to my head and I would not take a photo like that. And, this also is, like, for all I know, she could have been choosing between that or starvation. So maybe there are things I don't know, but yeah, argue with the wall, you know, and this is not me coming at it from a conservative perspective. Like, if I could lift this shirt up, you would see I don't shave my armpits. So relax. You know, theoretically, reading other people have the same opinions as me on, for example, Sabrina Carpenter degrading herself, you know, theoretically that should be making me feel better about myself, right? Because, like, you know, I'm like, you know, every day, all day, I'm seeing these advertisements just pushing it at me over and over and over again. And, you know, saying that, you know, tons of people who do consume that content, I'm surrounded by them all the time and think she's cool. And it should, in theory, make me feel better about myself to finally have other people who actually agree with me and to see that there are other people who agree with me. But it didn't. And, you know, weirdly, my self-esteem was better when I wasn't even looking at her at all. And I think there are some obvious reasons behind this. Obviously, as a woman, like, seeing that image of people like you, being paraded as the cool thing or as the thing that you have to be to attract a man, the glamorous thing, the whatever is to effectively have the personality of a living sex doll, that is degrading, actually. And I think subconsciously I was feeling degraded by that. And I think that, frankly, seeing how most of these pop stars degrade themselves. So I think to a degree, subconsciously, this was affecting me, seeing women be represented in this way. I think there is more to it than that, though. I think there actually is more to it than just the feminist analysis. And I think if I really look a little bit deeper, I think that it felt degrading for me as a person of normal wealth who has to worry about money. And you know what? I specifically started to feel this way with Taylor Swift, circling back to her. Seeing this content, and I promise I'm going to bring all these people in, by the way, but seeing her content shift to being this, like, I'm so rich, isn't it so awesome that I'm so rich? I don't know, like, I think it is degrading, actually. Regardless of if you are a hater or a supporter of these people, they are super rich people who don't have to worry about getting a medical bill that they can't afford. And they are people who don't have to clean their own house. And there's someone who's going to be like, oh, you know, Taylor Swift swears that she cleans her cat's litter box. Can we please be real for a second? I don't know. I was talking to Victor about this, and he said they're not like us. And I said, oh my God, they're not like us. And so this is like the next level of it, right? Is like, why would I care about the emperor's life? Why do I care about the life of the emperor, who is, you know, living this lifestyle that is depleting the earth of its resources? You know, someone who is, you know, a lot of time, like for Taylor Swift, for example, like, as far as I know, she is not doing the thing that some super wealthy people do, where they will funnel a lot of their money into charities and try to fix things. Like, I don't know if people are aware, but after the Trump administration did a ton of cuts to U.S. aid or U.S. funding to important things, to some extent, there actually have been billionaires who have stepped in and made up the gap in that funding. So it's not like nobody does this. And so, you know, like the next thing is it's like, okay, so you're like taking up all these resources and living this really lavish, like greedy lifestyle and gluttonous lifestyle and like rubbing it in people's faces, and then we clap for it. And even if we're jeering, like, we still press play on the songs to listen to how cringe they are. And like, this is the other thing, is I actually haven't even heard Taylor Swift's new album yet. I didn't like the last two albums, and they didn't make me feel good. So wait a minute, like, why would I listen to music that I don't even like just to see how cringe it is? Bro, I am too busy for that, actually. Like, that actually is the stupidest fucking thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like, no, I'm not gonna listen to it for the cringe, or because somebody made, like, a video talking about how bad it is and how terribly embarrassing it is for the Empress that, you know, she is, you know, she took a weird photo with her ass sticking out. Like, maybe I, like, am starting to just kind of feel like it is stupid to keep tabs on people in like, or like care about people or want updates on people in any way just because you know who they are. And I literally went through my music when I figured this out, and I was like, okay, like, which of this is music that I actually like, and which of this is just music that I have because I know who the person is, and I think it's like, okay. You know, I would encourage everybody to do this, actually. Go through your music and be like, okay, if this was made by a nobody and I didn't even know who they were, would I like it? And then see, like, if you actually want it. There were so many Taylor Swift songs that I just bought, like, because I knew who she was. And it's not even Taylor Swift. Like, this is also true about Kesha. Because I was following Kesha because she, frankly, was a nostalgia artist for me. And I realized that there were so many songs by her that I only had because she was nostalgic for me, and there was some kind of like fond association in my brain. And you know, there were a lot of other examples like that. This is the next thing, is like, it actually like does feel kind of degrading to, like, as a person who, like, yeah, has to worry about the cost of groceries. I'm not gonna look at your you know, your face that you have spent like hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars on Botoxing and tucking and like fixing and whatever, and you know, see that as the model of what I'm supposed to age like, and look at your clothes that you almost never wear twice, and, you know, listen to your songs that are like, what? About I'm so awesome, I'm so great. When I hurt people, it's always justified, but when they hurt me, it's wrong. You know, I'm so sexy, I'm so wealthy. Like, I as a normal person don't want to listen to that anymore. And it's like, why are you listening to it if you don't actually sincerely like the music? If you sincerely like the music, then you do. You know, and then it, like, this is not me being like, oh, for ethics, you shouldn't listen to music that you like. I don't feel that way at all. You know, if you sincerely like it, you sincerely like it. But, you know, even with like Beyonce, it's like, okay, this is just somebody, like, literally didn't even like Cowboy Carter, but I downloaded songs off of it that I just thought were like, okay, literally just because I knew who she was and it was her newest album. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And the last thing that I want to talk about in terms of like it feeling degrading and being a problem to just mindlessly worship celebrities. So I mentioned that part of the reason that I fell off during the Tortured Poets era was because I was just like, you know, when I transformed into an anti-hater, I was seeing her acting in ways that felt frightening to me. Like, not just like, oh, this is like cringe, but this is like frightening to me. And I think that like if you know Taylor Swift, you know she has put out some songs recently in the last like few eras. It's been increasingly things that are like, I think anyone can write about anything, by the way, but there's been this like attitude of like, I don't know, guys. It's giving off like really kind of like dark-sided vibes, actually. Like, it just like, I think it's fine to write about whatever, but you know, putting out songs that are like kind of like bragging about cheating on people a little bit and being like, oh, I guess I'm the bad guy then, wink. Like, and it's like kind of like a confession thing, but it's like kind of trying to imply that it's not like totally unjustified. And songs that are like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, where she's like kind of like victimizing herself and then saying like, oh, who's afraid of little old me? You should be. And I want to show you how disturbed and deranged this has made me. And like that's like a real lyric. People are going to be like, oh, this is like because you're a conservative and you hate when women are successful. No, again, like I wore the wrong shirt for this, but I swear my armpits are unshaved. You can verify this on my other videos. I swear to God. You guys, isn't it creepy to have a billionaire who has such a large proportion of the world's wealth in their hands, to have them talking like that? To have somebody who holds such a large proportion of the world's wealth in their hands saying all the harm I inflict is justified and everyone else is wrong and I'm right. And yeah, you should be afraid of me. That's really fucking scary, actually. Like, because that is a person with real power. And I'm sure there's going to be people who say, oh, well, you know, like, what is she supposed to do? Or, oh, like, how can you expect, like it's not her job to fix the world. And, oh, like, you know, you never would expect this of another billionaire. And it's like, but I do. I do expect this of everybody, actually. I would say that the exact same criticism would apply to Beyonce if she was acting this way. This is not me just being like, oh, Taylor Swift, like, I hate her because she got canceled. Like, no, this is not at all like that. This is, and there's going to be people who are like, oh, it's not her job to fix things. And it's like, well, I actually think that if you have some kind of a platform, it kind of is your job, actually, to be, like, doing something good with that. Yeah. I actually, like, I'm sorry, like, really, like, scalding hot take. But I think if you are a wealthy person and you no longer have to be in survival mode, then you should be helping with the fucking shit show that we are involved in right now, at least with climate change. And this is what I want to like kind of finish and like wrap this up with, is I'm actually going to use an example from an artist that I like, so that people don't just think that this is like, you know, the hater train, or me trying to dunk on Taylor Swift, like specifically because I don't like her music. I'm going to use I want to conclude this video talking about like selfishness and selfish ideology and how I think that celebrities perpetuate this. And this is like my kind of final reason why I'm not really taking part in celebrity content just to take part in it. Florence Welch has a new album out. I loved it. I did really, really love it. But even she also has some of the like fame worship thing going on, like Everybody Scream, where she's talking about, you know, oh, when I'm on stage, I can become my full size and take up the whole sky and everyone will scream my name. And I'm so sorry, like I love the song, but I as a normal person cannot relate to that. Like, this is great if you have an OC or something that, like, you can relate to it, but I, as a normal person, cannot and will not relate to that, and it's not healthy for me to be like, oh, well, that could be me someday. Like, it's not healthy for every single person to be listening to this and, like, identifying with it in some way. That kind of, like, grandiosity. And there's another song of hers on this album that has this line that, like, perfectly reflects this article that I was reading. It's by Freddie DeBoer, and I will link it below. It says it's about therapy culture, but really it's about the selfishness that I'm about to talk about. He kind of uses therapy culture as a segue into the main topic. But, like, there is a song on Florence's album called Sympathy Magic, and she says in it something like, I no longer try to be good. It didn't keep me safe like I thought it would. So this is kind of like reflecting a very similar theme that I also saw developing in Taylor Swift songs. Like, increasingly songs about maybe I'm not the good girl, maybe I do these bad things sometimes, blah, 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 blah. And again, I think that, like, it's fine to write about whatever. Like, you know, Fiona Apple, like, Criminal, this is about, like, ostensibly, like, basically the same topic, right? So, like, you know, this is not me saying that you're not allowed to write about yourself doing bad things as a woman. And I do understand that what Welsh is trying to get at is she's trying to talk about how women are told to put everybody else first, and that if we only are completely subservient to men and put everybody else before ourselves, that then we will be kept safe from men's evil and men hating us. I no longer try to be good. It didn't keep me safe like they told me that it would. And this is the thing, is like, so this is reflecting a sentiment that I see all over in different musicians' writing, and I would encourage you to look for some examples yourself. But this is like the thing, you guys, is like, you're not supposed to do good things or be a good person because of benefits to yourself. You're supposed to be, the reason that human beings value being a good person is not because it benefits you, but because it benefits other people. It benefits every single person whose life that you touch in any kind of way. Freddie DeBoer, the reason I bring up his article is he kind of talks about how we are in this moment right now of cultural selfishness. It is seen as this, like, healing thing to always be putting yourself before everybody else, and it's seen as this, like, healing thing to be acting in this kind of way. And I will say that I think to an extent this mentality can sometimes be helpful for people who have been severely victimized or mistreated. But as a person who that applies to and who can say that that mentality has to a degree been helpful for me, I'm going to also say that it can be a problem to just get stuck there. Because I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but people have gotten kind of nastier and ruder and more inconsiderate within the last 5 or so years. And it's at a point now where we can't just say, oh, it's just because of COVID. Like, you know, this is like a real cultural shift that has happened. And I feel like it's, like, symbolized by that one sentence. I no longer try to be good. It didn't keep me safe like they told me that it would. And I understand the feminist implications of that statement, but I also want to kind of criticize it from, like, a basic ethical, moral standpoint and say that doing good things is not something that you do because it benefits you. And the flip side of, like, the feminist version of that, right, is, like, incels who get really mad that, like, you know, to get a girlfriend, you have to be nice. And it's like, aren't you just being nice normally? you should be nice even if no girlfriend ever materializes for you. And the reason for that is because, you know, if the next guy down also is like, well, I'm not going to be nice if no GF, then he's going to be nasty to you. And now your life is more stressful and it sucks more. And I got to tell you guys, I have been dealing with so much extra stress in my life for the past 2 months, especially. And it has all been because of people who are insanely inconsiderate. And this is where that inconsiderateness comes from ultimately, is selfishness and not wanting to do something if it doesn't hold material benefits for yourself. And the De Boer article has this fantastic example where he's talking about, he's basically responding to a New York Times article called like "Forgiveness is Overrated" or something like that. And he singles out this one passage where the author introduces a counter argument. And she says, you know, of course there are some benefits to forgiveness. It can lower your blood pressure, and it can make you sleep better at night, and it can reduce aging, and just like listing these. He says, you know, it is ridiculous, and this is his response. He says, it's ridiculous to say that the best merits of forgiveness are because of minute, like, quantifiable things that you can measure with an Apple Watch. And his counterpoint to what she says is to say maybe forgiveness is a good thing because we as humans are living in a society and every one of us is fallible and every one of us makes mistakes. And therefore it's good to have forgiveness be a thing that is taught to people because inevitably you will be the one who makes a mistake. And it's not good to be in the habit of just holding grudges and never forgiving people for things and just being wound so tight and ready to bite someone's head off and holding on to things forever and blah, blah, blah. You know, just because it doesn't offer any benefit to you to forgive somebody, which I personally think that it does. And also, I'm like, as a person who has been abused and who has been judged very harshly in life and who has been treated very poorly from some people in my life, like, forgiveness doesn't mean you do like a grand confrontation or whatever and you know, like, I'm not saying you have to like forgive your you know, like somebody who did something like unspeakable to you. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, we are in this culture right now, and a lot of it is being sold to us by celebrities of like, oh, it's me first before everyone else, and I'm not gonna do anything, baby, unless it benefits me. And ooh, I gotta think about me. Like, you know, it's lonely at the top. Like, you know, it's in Taylor Swift. It is in Florence Welch. Quite a few of their recent music, and you know, you can find this with lesser like pop music creators as well. And like, that is kind of the other thing, is it's like, I don't know, like, I guess like maybe I'm starting to be at a point where I'm like, I don't want to be, it stresses me out. It stresses me out to listen to music with those kinds of messages now, especially when it's really, really concentrated, like in Taylor Swift's music, because her music specifically is very, very like, I'm a victim and everybody else is wrong. And if you read the De Boer article, you will see that that is like the exact mentality that he's talking about. I'm a victim and everybody else is always wrong. And even when I do bad things, it's justified. But when other people do bad things to me or inconvenience me, then they should be just wailed on for the rest of our lives, basically. It is starting to make me afraid and stressed out and uncomfortable to see a billionaire with so much power, and frankly, even for the ones who aren't billionaires, like, people with this wealth that they just flaunt in our faces, and like, you know, it's stressful to listen to, because I'm like, you have power and a platform, and you are selling this ideology of selfishness to people. And ladies, like, to those of you who are watching this, like, women are, I will say, like, as a feminist, I have to say this, like, women are taught to put other people before ourselves to kind of this obscene degree, especially men. We are taught to look out for men at our own expense. And like, so I will say that, like, that is the big asterisk on this whole thing. This is just like kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I don't want to listen to that anymore, actually. It kind of like stresses me out really badly, and it makes me uncomfortable, and I am angry, actually, that people with so much power, it's like, you don't have to talk about activist stuff if you don't want to. Like, I'm not asking you to fix the whole world, but what it seems like is that certain celebrities, and the ones that I was kind of like keeping tabs on and hate watching and doing all this stuff, like, you know, the reason I was so fixated on them was kind of like, I think deep down it was like, I can't believe that we're in this cultural hole and they're just digging it deeper. Like what is wrong with you that you like, yeah, how can you not feel a responsibility to speak up? Would I act the same way if I was in their position? I don't know. I think that all of that shit gets to your head, but if it has gone to their head, then I don't think like hate watching does anything to fix it. Unless you are like purely in it for the music, like you think the music sounds awesome, it's exactly your taste. Like, unless you're in it purely for the music and you really feel strongly about the content that these people produce, then it's like, well, maybe it's worth considering, like, what kind of a world do you live in? Like, do we all still want to live in a world where selfishness and hatred and pettiness and biting people's heads off for little things and like do we really want to live in a world like that? Because I don't, and I think many people have been hurt and have been very, very mistreated by the people around them, including just like daily in like things that are inconsiderate, like, you know, people watching TikTok without headphones, like, but those little things add up to a lot of stress for all of that. And it is connected to this cultural entitlement of like, you know, why would I use headphones? What, for that guy over there? I don't even know him. Me first. Like, it is that toxic me first ideology that has frankly gotten society into this mess. That's why I haven't listened to the new Taylor Swift album. And I honestly, you guys, I think I'm just never going to. And you know, Sabrina Carpenter, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to hate watch. I hope he texts you back. I mean, maybe what these celebrities need to do is just make music for other celebrities when they get to that level of wealth. And maybe that's what needs to happen, is like us average people should be listening to art that affects us and that we can apply as like the soundtrack to our own lives, not just stuff that's like, ooh, I think this one is about Travis Kelce, or ooh, goody, another song about how you have millions and the other person doesn't. Wow, cool. So good luck with that, or sorry that happened. You know, let me know in the comments, are you ignoring celebrities? Because I think it would be awesome if we could just like only pay attention to people whose artistry we really like. And if that's some of the people I mentioned in this video, for you, cool. You know, like, I'm happy for you, or sorry that happened. That's it. Bye.